We will begin the narrative of the Qin dynasty's history with a very famous assassination in history. Ying Zheng, the king of Qin, also known as Emperor Qin Shi Huang, was the first emperor in Chinese history. He rose from ruling a single state to unifying all 6 major states and became famous for completing the unification. After that, he worked to strengthen central power, but was also criticized throughout history for his harsh and strict rule. Ying Zheng, the king of Qin, was a mysterious ruler. For hundreds of years, people have not been able to find out who his real father was, or why he never made an empress or named a crown prince. One day in 227 BCE, a grand ceremony was about to take place in the royal palace of the Qin capital. That day, Ying Zheng, the king of Qin, was in a very good mood. He wore his finest formal robe and followed the most respectful rituals to welcome to important guests. However, this grand welcome ceremony soon turned into a tragedy. On this day, a surrender ceremony from another state was planned. Since Ying Zheng, the king of Qin, had taken the throne, he had already defeated 2 of the 7 major states, Han and Zhao. Now, the powerful Qin army was approaching the border of the Yan state. The visitors were 2 envoys from Yan. They brought 2 gifts that made Ying Zheng, the king of Qin, very happy. One was a human head, and the other was a map. The head belonged to Fan Wuyu, a general who had betrayed Qin and whom the emperor hated deeply. Now, Yan had captured him and sent his head as a sign of loyalty. The map showed Yan's richest area, which they were offering to Qin. These 2 gifts clearly showed that Yan was ready to surrender. Ying Zheng, the king of Qin, was very pleased. Once everything was prepared, the 2 envoys from Yan walked into the palace hall. Among the 2 envoys, one was Jing Ke, a very famous assassin in Chinese history. The other was his assistant, Qin Huang. Jing Ke was carrying a box that held the head of Fan Wuyu. Qin Huang held a map scroll. As Jing Ke and Qin Huang walked up to the main hall, Qin Huang became very nervous. Faced with the strict guards and the rows of armed soldiers inside the grand hall, his face turned pale, and his body began to shake. This surprised the court officials watching nearby. They thought envoys coming to surrender shouldn't act this way. Jing Ke noticed this too. He explained that Qin Huang had grown up in a remote area and had never seen such a big and formal event before, so he was scared. He asked Ying Zheng, the king of Qin, to forgive Qin Huang and allow him to enter the hall and complete his mission. Ying Zheng looked on as Jing Ke stayed calm and steady, while Qin Huang was pale and trembling. Ying Zheng, the king of Qin, ordered Jing Ke to present the map himself, which meant Qin Huang was not allowed to enter the hall. Jing Ke set down the box and took the scroll from Qin Huang, then walked up to the main hall. Slowly, Jing Ke began to unroll the scroll. As the map was fully opened, Ying Zheng, the king of Qin, was shocked to see that a dagger had been hidden inside the scroll. This dagger was extremely sharp and coated with deadly poison. If it even scratched the skin and touched blood, it could kill instantly. At that moment, Ying Zheng was caught off guard, but it was too late. Jing Ke had already grabbed the king's sleeve and thrust the dagger toward his chest. Ying Zheng, the king of Qin, struggled desperately to escape, and Jing Ke ended up tearing off his left sleeve. This gave the king a chance to break free. Ying Zheng ran with all his strength, while Jing Ke chased closely behind. Inside the grand hall, the king kept dodging. Although he wore a sword, it was very long, about 1.62 meters. While running, he tried to draw it, but his arms weren't long enough to pull it out. At this critical moment, a royal doctor named Xia Wuju appeared in front of the king. He was carrying a medicine bag on his back. Quickly, Xia Wuju took off the bag and threw it at Jing Ke. Jing Ke moved slightly to avoid it, which slowed him down for a moment. This gave Ying Zheng, the king of Qin, more time to escape. After creating some distance, Ying Zheng, the king of Qin, quickly adjusted his stance and finally managed to draw his long sword. In an instant, the situation changed. Jing Ke was now at a disadvantage. With the first strike, Ying Zheng struck Jing Ke's left leg, and Jing Ke fell to the ground. Even then, Jing Ke did not give up. He threw the dagger in his hand, but his aim was off. Ying Zheng dodged, and the dagger hit a pillar instead. Now unarmed and unable to escape, Jing Ke was defenseless. Ying Zheng took the chance to strike again and again, slashing Jing Ke 8 times. Though seriously wounded, Jing Ke still refused to surrender. Leaning against a pillar, he shouted, "You only survived because I wanted to take you alive. If I hadn't, you never would have escaped." At that moment, the guards rushed forward and killed Jing Ke. Ying Zheng, the king of Qin, sat back on his throne, staring at Jing Ke's body, lost in thought. For him, this was the first time he had truly faced death. This event became very well known in Chinese history. It was recorded by Sima Qian during the Han Dynasty in the records of the Grand Historian, in the chapter about famous assassins. It became a lasting story passed down through generations. For later rulers in China, the greatest achievement of Ying Zheng, the king of Qin, was destroying the 6 other kingdoms and unifying China. However, this also made him become the public enemy. Jing Ke was not the only one who wanted to kill him. Many others from the fallen kingdoms shared the same idea, but most of them failed because they had no way to get close to Ying Zheng. Only Jing Ke managed to approach him and almost succeeded. After Jing Ke was killed, Ying Zheng, the king of Qin, ordered the arrest of everyone connected to Jing Ke. One of Jing Ke's close friends, the famous musician Gao Jianli, was also targeted. To avoid being caught, Gao Jianli changed his name and worked as a servant. While working, he noticed that his boss liked to play the instrument, so he often gave advice. The boss invited Gao Jianli to play. His performance amazed everyone, and his talent soon became widely known. Over time, Gao Jianli began performing in public, and his fame grew so much that even Ying Zheng heard about his musical skill. After Ying Zheng, the king of Qin, invited Gao Jianli to the palace, he soon discovered Gao Jianli's identity. To prevent him from becoming another assassin, Ying Zheng took extreme measures. He had Gao Jianli's eyes blinded. Even though Gao Jianli lost his sight, Gao Jianli could still play music, but he could no longer carry out an attack. As time passed, Gao Jianli slowly gained Ying Zheng's trust. He learned to tell where Ying Zheng was just by listening. Eventually, Gao Jianli tried to kill him by throwing a heavy lead-filled bamboo tube. But the result was predictable. He failed. Gao Jianli was captured and later executed. These events made Ying Zheng, the king of Qin, realize that anyone from a defeated state could be an assassin. None of them could be trusted or allowed to approach him. However, despite all precautions, Ying Zheng still encountered other assassination attempts. One of the assassins was Zhang Liang, who later became the key founding hero of the Han Dynasty. Zhang Liang was originally a noble of the state of Han. After Han was conquered, he sold all his family property and hired a professional assassin. The assassin used a long-distance method, throwing a large iron hammer at Ying Zheng. The hammer missed, and Ying Zheng narrowly escaped death. Throughout his life, Ying Zheng, the king of Qin, faced multiple assassination attempts. These efforts occurred both before and after the unification of the 6 states. Many people tried to kill him, and these attempts reflected the strong resistance of the 6 states against the Qin state. From Jing Ke to Zhang Liang, each assassination revealed the anger and unwillingness to surrender among those who had lost their countries to Qin's rule. The story of Jing Ke's assassination attempt on the king of Qin has had a profound impact on later generations and is subject to different interpretations. Some view Jing Ke as a reactionary against the historical trend, while others consider him a chivalrous hero. The more common perspective in Chinese history is to call Jing Ke a chivalrous hero. However, there is another critical view of Jing Ke, arguing that he was foolish to assassinate Ying Zheng, the king of Qin, under the instigation of the Prince of Yan, disregarding the safety of his own family. An interesting modern Chinese perspective suggests that Jing Ke was a mercenary who, after being repeatedly treated with hospitality by the Prince of Yan, had no choice but to take the desperate risk of assassinating Ying Zheng, the king of Qin. The film Hero, directed by Zhang Yimou and starring Jet Li, draws inspiration from the story framework of Jing Ke's assassination attempt on the king of Qin to tell this story. In the film, Jet Li plays the protagonist Wu Ming, who gains the trust of the king by apprehending other assassins and approaches him. Wu Ming possesses an ability to successfully assassinate within 10 paces. However, after finally getting close to the king, Wu Ming gives up the assassination and is ultimately ordered by the king to be shot by guards with arrows. Director Zhang Yimou believes that anyone who dedicates themselves to peace or the unification of the world is a hero. The film presents a traditional Chinese concept of heroism, holding that those who attempt to assassinate the king are heroes, those who pacify the world are heroes, and those who abandon assassination for the sake of the world are also heroes. Ying Zheng, the king of Qin, is the most mysterious among over 200 emperors in Chinese history. First, the identity of Ying Zheng's father remains a mystery to this day. Many accounts about the father's identity are unclear and contradictory. Second, Ying Zheng's appearance is still unknown. Historical records and people's analyses vary widely. Third, why did Ying Zheng, the king of Qin, not establish an empress? Fourth, why did he not designate a crown prince? Fifth, what does Ying Zheng, the king of Qin's mausoleum, look like? Ying Zheng, the king of Qin, was both the terminator of the Western Zhou royal system and the founder of the imperial system. To understand this emperor, Ying Zheng, the king of Qin, one must first understand the rise of the Qin state. The great cause of unification was not achieved overnight. Before Ying Zheng, the king of Qin, his family had struggled toward this goal for nearly 600 years. We will now elaborate on how Qin state rose.